Hi, I'm Patrick Dennis, a pastor at Tuckahoe Presbyterian Church. It has been my privilege and joy to serve with the strategic planning team. We have really, I believe, lived into our ordination vow as ministers and elders to serve with energy, intelligence, imagination, and love. This team has committed to meeting once a month and culling through information from previous reports and feedback from the presbytery. We've also had lots of thoughts in creatively engaging the world around us, employing that intelligence that God has given us to serve this presbytery. The imagination also has been very much evident to me as we have come together to formulate what I believe is a plan that really does speak to a fresh understanding of how we are called to be for each other. And finally, the love has been very, very evident in what we have done together. This team has shown love to each other. We have expressed our differences, but also come together to understand how we are to truly love each other as Christ calls us to, and how we are to love the churches and the ministries that are part of this presbytery. I pray that as you hear this report, that you are inspired and that you find this is truly the way God is calling us together into our future.
Hi, I'm Tom Coy. Honorably retired in 2016, but just recently, earlier this year, I came out of retirement to assume the responsibilities of covenant pastor at the Milden Church in Sharps. When I was asked to serve on the strategic planning team, I was honored to be asked. I thought, though, it would be maybe a 9-month, 1-year kind of assignment, the chief job of which is to come up with some modifications to the structure of the presbytery so that it might work better as we prepare for our next general presbyter. It turned out to be so much more than that. Time-wise, twice the time, not 1 year, but 2. But those 2 years have turned out to be more than just looking at the way things are and making modifications. It really was a deep dive into the issues of the day, the dynamics, the needs of the presbytery, the needs of Christians, the needs for spiritual formation. All these things came to play as we sorted out where the presbytery was and where it needed to be and what would it take to get there. It was quite a journey, and the people who were a part of this were remarkable. I have such a deep respect for each of them. Each is a leader in the church, and each cares deeply about the church, about their church, about the presbytery, about the Church of Jesus Christ. How can we be more effective in responding to God's call? I hope you see that in the presentation. That was very much a part of our work and the spirit of this team.
I'm Susan Mapes, ruling elder from Chester Presbyterian Church. Being a part of the strategic planning team has really affirmed for me my belief that our connectionality is one of our greatest strengths as Presbyterians. We know even in this time of pandemic the importance of continuing to pray and worship and meet together to refuel spiritually in order to fulfill God's mission in the world. I'm so excited and energized at what new thing God may be doing for us in the Presbytery of the James. Our new design really focuses on building on our strength of connectionality, congregations and everyone involved in mission, if we only have the courage to follow.
Our group, even before the pandemic, has been attentive to not only what we want to be as a presbytery, but just as importantly, what we want to be given where we are. How is the Lord calling us to be responsive to the times in which we find ourselves? But it's not just where we find ourselves in a passive sense. In an active way, we are finding ourselves as ministers and elders, as the priesthood of all believers, We are finding new ways of being Christ's hands and feet in this world, in our particular context, new ways of being the connectional church, new ways of embodying our very relevant identity, reformed, always reforming. I'm excited about what you'll see here. Stay tuned.
I am LAMAR LOCKHART, a ruling elder at Chester Presbyterian Church in Chester, Virginia. It has been a blessing to serve on the strategic planning team for approximately 2 years. I have benefited from my relationship with the 15 members on the strategic planning team. It is my hope that this plan will be received by the churches in the Presbytery of the James with great anticipation and blessings, looking to a future of spiritual growth in both the churches and the community. Our prayer is that we will get the support that will carry this strategic plan forward. May God bless all the churches in the Presbytery of the James.
Hi, my name is Shannon Hendricks, and I am a member at large of the Presbytery. My hopes and the part of this process that have brought me joy are really linked together for what is to come out of this plan for the Presbytery. We spent so much time throughout the last 2 years really listening and thinking about where ministry is happening in the Presbytery, and that it's not limited to just our churches, even though there's beautiful ministry happening there, but that we also have ministries that are happening on college campuses and hospitals and prisons, at camp, and that the breadth of where the Spirit is in this presbytery is never ending, and that there is so much room for growth and for excitement around what is to come with that. And it has just been such a joy to have us do this process and see the moments where we start talking about church, and then realize that our definition of what church is not limited by 4 walls, and is not limited to one geographical location and one size of a ministry, and that it can happen in so many different places. There were so many times that we would start having that language and then pause and be like, oh no, we need to change our language to incorporate the breadth of where the Spirit is moving in this presbytery. My hope that comes out of that is that that will continue, and that we won't be limited, and that we will be open to hearing where God is calling our presbytery and all of the ways that the future is bright and exciting for what is to come. And that even though there's all this language about how the church is dying, that it is really living, and that we follow a resurrected Christ, and that there can be life that comes out of a period of being scared and of mourning. And if there's nothing else that this pandemic has shown us, it is that there can be life, and that the Spirit is not bound by our technological limitations, and that we can be so creative in so many new ways. I'm so excited for you all to hear the plan that we have today, and hope that you have as much excitement and joy and hope for the future of the presbytery as our team does.